Welcome to our webinar, Installing the Trial Version of Opendental on the Server. In this webinar, we will cover where to find and download the Opendental trial version, installing the trial version, setting the MySQL password, sharing out the OpenDentImages folder, running Opendental for the first time, setting the OpenDentImages path to a UNC path, and opening port 3306. To find the trial download, go to our website, opendental.com. Then click Trial Version. From here, click the download link on the first step of installation to a server. Once your download is finished, you'll want to run it as an administrator. To do that, you'll need to go to the file location of the download. In Google Chrome, that can be done by clicking the arrow and Show in Folder. Or directly through Windows, you can go to the File Explorer and click the folder called Downloads. In the Downloads folder, you can right-click and Run as Administrator. You may get a warning from Windows like this. Here, you can click More Info and Run Anyway. Once you've run the download as an administrator, you'll see this window here where it's extracting files. Once the extraction is complete, you'll be brought to this window that's called the Opendental Installer. You'll see that all options are checked by default, which is what we want for a server installation. From here, we'll hit Install, and we'll see the setup wizard for Opendental. Here we'll hit Next, we'll accept the license agreement, and hit Next. Verify our installation path. The one by default is just fine, so we can hit Next. And then Install. Now the installation of Opendental is complete, but that's just the software. There's a few other pieces of software that need to be installed as well. We'll hit Finish, and we'll wait for the next installation to start. On this window, we'll hit OK, and we're prepared to launch the MySQL installer. We'll see another wizard for the MySQL Server 5.5. Here we'll hit Next, we'll accept the license agreement, and hit Next. On this window, we're going to choose Custom. From here, we can check our paths if we'd like, but we can also just hit Next. Once that's finished, we'll hit Install. And we'll be brought to this window here for the MySQL Enterprise. Here we'll hit Next, and Next. On this window, it's very important to make sure you uncheck this box here for Launch the MySQL Instance Configuration Wizard. Once that's unchecked, hit Finished, and MySQL will be installed. Here we'll hit OK. Grant tables will be copied. The MyINI will be created. And then we'll be getting our databases. The OpenDentImages folder will be created. And lastly, the MySQL service will be installed and started. From here, we can hit OK. At this step, we have the option to create a MySQL password. A MySQL password helps prevent unauthorized access to the database. It is optional, but highly recommended. If one is not created now, one can be added later. Opendental does not store or keep track of the MySQL password. That is the office's responsibility. If created, it will be needed each time Opendental is installed on a workstation. In our case, we can go ahead and create a simple MySQL password. And once that's done, installation will be complete. We can now close this program and start Opendental by clicking the shortcut on our desktop. We can hit OK and close out of the Opendental installer. Now that the installation is complete, you'll have the Opendental icon on your desktop. Before we run that, we want to make sure that we share the OpenDentImages folder. To do that, navigate to where you chose the OpenDentImages folder to be installed. In our case, it will be at the root directory of the C drive. From here, right-click on the OpenDentImages, click Properties, then Sharing, and then the Share button. On this window, we're going to type in everyone and hit Add. We want to make sure that their permission level is read/write. And lastly, click Share. Sharing the OpenDentImages folder makes it accessible to the other workstations on the network, which allows full functionality of the Opendental program. Without it, workstations will receive error messages when logging into the program. Now that the OpenDentImages folder is shared out, we're ready to run Opendental. We want to make sure we run Opendental for the first time as an administrator. To do that, we'll right-click and choose Run as Administrator. We'll then be brought to the Choose Database window. We have the server name, which in this case, since we're on the server, can be localhost, the server host name, or the server IP address. We'll then see the database. From here, we can choose Opendental or Demo. We will use Opendental for the blank database or Demo to work with the demo data. If a MySQL password was created, options will not show in the dropdown until the MySQL password is entered. That can be entered here. Once that's done, we'll see our options in the database. At this step, we also have the option to choose Don't Show this window on startup. It is optional, but reduces the steps needed to open the software and can alleviate confusion for users. Now that we have Opendental up and running, we'll want to make sure we set the OpenDentImages path to a UNC path. To do that, we're going to go to Setup and Data Paths. We're going to replace the first data path with the UNC path for the OpenDentImages folder. This can be collected by going to the OpenDentImages folder and going to the sharing properties we set up earlier. From here, we'll copy the network path, or write it down, and we'll enter that here, and hit OK. The UNC path will allow workstations to see the actual OpenDentImages folder on the server, rather than trying to look at local storage. The final step of the trial installation is opening port 3306. To do this, we're going to go to the Control Panel, then click System and Security, then Windows Defender Firewall, then Advanced Settings here on the left. In this window, we'll click Inbound Rules here on the left side, and New Rule here on the right. In this window, we're going to choose the option for port and hit Next. We'll leave the option for TCP, and we'll type in the specific local port of 3306. We'll choose to allow the connection and hit Next. And we want to uncheck the option for public. We only want this rule to apply over domain and private networks. We'll then hit Next. And we're going to name this rule Opendental MySQL. And we'll make the description the same. And hit Finish. This allows MySQL to communicate between the workstations and the server over the network. In some cases, an outbound rule has to be created for port 3306 if the network administrator has blocked outbound traffic from a workstation. Follow the steps above for an outbound rule as well. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. Please feel free to contact us if you run into any issues during installation.